In the last video you guys saw of this engine, we had taken the cams out and started taking out the bolts for the head, and I stopped at the point of getting ready to take the head off. Now the head is off and super happy with how the engine looks inside. I'm gonna bring you guys in so you guys can see what these bores look like. More than happy with it. It looks like it just had a fresh rebuild done. Maybe a few thousand miles on this block after a rebuild. So I'll show you guys what it looks like. Looks a little dirty inside currently, like water or oil, but that's just WD-40 I sprayed just to keep the bores from rusting at all and just make sure it spins free, which it spins super free. Well, it does if I can get a good grip. And super happy with that. I mean, it takes very little effort. Then it's kind of hard to see, but it's got near perfect cross hatching in all the bores. They all look that good. So super happy with that. Now I got the head off and was able to look at the bores, my next goal is I'm gonna flip the engine over so that I can try and pull a few main caps off and make sure no material went through any of the rod bearings. For all we know, it could have spun a bearing and then they took it out for that, or it just got a rebuild and then pulled out of whatever car it was in. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna flip the engine over and start taking off some main caps and see what it looks like. Got the engine flipped over. First thing I looked at was inside of the oil pickup, and I don't know if you can see in there, it's got some crud. Let's see, is that any better? Yeah. So I'm not sure what that is. Hoping maybe it's just like some sort of RTV. But once I dig into it more, I'll be able to see. I'm just hoping it's just like RTV that got picked up and just sat there. Hopefully it's nothing metal, but let you guys know. I think I can take these little baffling trays out first. No, I cannot. I need to grab a 12. Okay, I just took off the little windage tray pieces, and I was going to take some main caps off, but the main cap is all one piece. If I remember correctly, I believe that this is part of it being a all-wheel drive motor. It has this extra cradle piece that helps us strengthen the block, so keep it from twisting, because the front diff for the RBs when they're all-wheel drive is attached to the oil pan, so it creates a lot of extra torque on the motor. Let's see. All of the rods seem pretty tight. Like there's no movement on these rods, which is awesome. Can't tell. There's part numbers on the rod caps. I want to try and do some research to see what rods these are. Supposedly they're supposed to be, like I said before, the RB26 rods. So I'm going to do a little bit of research and I'll get back to you guys. Really couldn't get a good angle at the rods to see what part numbers on them, but I'm going to just take one of the rods out. That way I can also check the bearing as well to make sure, even though they feel tight, make sure nothing went through it. So I'm going to work on popping one of these rods out. I can check the part number and make sure the bearing looks good.
There we go.
Gently tap this with. There we go. Well, I am not sure if this bearing was spun or if it moved when the rod came loose. Oh, okay. Well, I got the rod out. The rod and piston look like they are still in really good condition. My only worry is, to me, that looked like that bearing spun. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel any grooves, but I mean, I don't know what a spun bearing looks like. But that doesn't look like that's how that's supposed to look. So that was on the cap side. This one I can feel a little bit of grooves in. And I mean, I don't know what they're supposed to look like. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. I'm not sure. I gotta do a little bit of research on that. But oh, and I gotta figure out what the part number is for the rods. See if I got good rods or not. Looks like I might have to do bearings though, which it's not the end of the world. Just to give you guys a look of what the engine is going to be going into, this is my 1992 Nissan R32 Skyline. It is the base model, which means when I got it, it didn't have a turbo. But when I got it, I knew I was going to put one on. So I did all the engine work. I put the turbo on. I did all this piping. Doesn't look the prettiest. It's going to get all redone, which is why I'm investing into the new engine. It is currently primer gray. It's going to get fully torn apart and rebuilt. It was supposed to be painted a while ago, but never got around to it. And now I'm going to change some things anyways, so it kind of just all falls in line. But we're going to go for a quick drive, and I will explain some of my goals for this car. All right, so we're driving around the Skyline right now. It's been a while since I've driven it. Love this car. It just has such a presence on the road. I mean, and it's just cool to be able to drive right-hand drive. So it's just been a goal of mine to own this car since I was young. And then, like, 4 years ago, got the opportunity to buy it. and I pulled the trigger on it and I got one, and I'm super happy with it. Definitely some things I would change about how I did the car in the first place, which is why I am completely going to be rebuilding the car. My goal is to strip it down to a bare chassis and redo everything. I mean, that's why we got a new engine. It's going to get a full paint job. But speaking of engine, my goals for the engine are, I'd say, pretty simple. I just plan on doing a easy little build, try and keep it semi-stock, meaning like I'm going to do a stock turbo location. There's a company out there, I believe it's pronounced Arashi Turbo Dynamics, and they make a, one sec. I love the way this car sounds. It just sounds so good. I hope it picks up in the video. But the Arashi Turbo Dynamics company makes a drop-in turbo kit for this car, or for the engine, that is good for like 440 horsepower, which then brings me into my goal for this engine, which is right around 350 to 400 horsepower. Just try and keep it light, fun. It's gonna be a street car, so I don't need to be making 600 horsepower or anything like that. That's just ridiculous. Like, yeah, that'd be fun, but it's a street car. I just want to be able to drive it and have fun. Then after the turbo, probably gonna do a different intake, because the intake that comes on the engine is not ideal when coming to routing intercooler piping. You can see in the beginning of this, or talking about my current setup, how the intake kind of just like goes over top of the engine and makes it real cluttered. So I'm gonna have a front-facing intake. Haven't figured that out yet. Gotta decide on what I want for that. ECU, I plan on, I think at this point, going Haltech. I was between Haltech and Link, but after talking to a local guy, he said that he likes Haltech, and Haltech, like, I can take him my car and he can tune it, which is just beneficial for me, having someone local who can tune that car, or that ECU rather. So I'm looking at Haltech for ECU. I haven't figured out fuel management or anything like that yet. Probably gonna do Dishworks for that, just because that's what I have. I have a Dishworks pump in it right now, so looking at that. Wiring harness, I'm looking at doing a wiring specialties harness, because I can tell them exactly what I'm putting on the engine, and then they can spec that harness directly for everything. So I don't have to have any jumper leads or anything like that. It'll be direct plug and play for what I have, which then wiring harness leads me into like what I'm going to be doing for ignition. So I plan on doing the PRP, or Platinum Racing Products, trigger kit, which is cam sensor as well as crank sensor, which just gives you that redundancy feature, so you're never gonna miss or have issues with the timing. As well as I'll probably do haven't figured out which conversion I want yet, but like an LS coil or an R8 coil conversion. Get rid of the igniter system that is in this car and just go smart coil. Just again, to really make a solid ignition system for this car, because the ignition and the fuel are obviously the most important parts, as well as, I mean, obviously you need air for the rest of the combustion cycle, but those are like my dream goals for this car are stock turbo location, just to keep it nice and low in the engine, keep heat down. These engines are prone to creating a lot of heat. Fuel management system being Dishworks, and then engine management system being Haltech. I want to make a bulletproof system that'll be able to run 400 horsepower all day long, no issues, and just have fun. Like, that's all this car is for, is to have fun. I probably will never take it to track, but I mean, at 400 horsepower, I could go have fun. I mean, our local track would be Mid-Ohio, and if I wanted to go do a track day, I could in this, which would be fun. There's a lot more stuff I have planned for this car that I will get to when we get to that point, but at this moment, the engine is what we're looking at, so that's what I wanted to tell you guys about. I think that will be it for this little video series for right now. We have another video series that'll be coming out, and it's pretty exciting. It's some pretty big news, so I hope you guys enjoyed my little videos here. I hope to be doing this more. So have a good day, and thank you for watching the 10 Foot Customs YouTube channel. I'm on my way back home and realized I forgot to mention that after looking at it again, don't think I spun a bearing. The bearing the half of the bearing that was in the connecting rod was still perfectly seated, so there's no way it spun a bearing and then seated it back in place. I think that when I pulled the cap off, the one side rotated, meaning that, like, making it look like it wasn't in place, but I think we're good. I think it was just dirty, and then didn't find enough information on the rods to know what rod I have or don't have. It looks like the numbers on it are just casting numbers, so I have to do a little bit more research on that. But that's gonna be it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed watching my side of the garage again, and I hope to give you guys more videos in the future. Thank you for watching.